So thanks so much for tuning in to the system sessions. I wanted to kind of cover some basics of pipeline. We have a lot of new admins, a lot of new agents, and just kind of cover, pipeline as a whole, different things that you can do, and maybe some things that you might not even know. I still have some people logging in here. I've also asked Christina and Susan to come and be a part of this class. They are her and Linda and Christina are kind of the pipeline gurus. So I have asked them to come in just in case anybody had questions or wanted to cover anything pipeline related, and they can help me kind of field those for you guys. So when you log into pipeline, your screen is going to look a little bit differently than mine because you're only going to be able to see your transactions. Mine's a little bit different because I have admin capabilities, but process is still the same. The first thing that I'm going to cover is just adding a transaction. So when you get either a listing side or a sales side, then we need to make the transaction in pipeline. But I will cover this too. Say it's a double end. So you have one side and maybe a team or something has another side. If the team has the listing side, and then you guys put a contract on it, we're going to help you change those status, or the team will change the status and get everything uploaded and the right people added to that transaction as well. So if you don't see it right away, give it some time or let one of us know, and we can kind of field that if you're not seeing your side of a transaction in there. So to add a transaction, it's really simple. You can come up here to the top and just click Add Transaction. And then it's going to pop you into this screen where there's a whole bunch of fields that are required. So the first field is transaction name and or property address. The way that the main office staff likes to have this is if it is the client's last name and then the full address. So, hey, Susan, thanks for joining us. So an example would be Smith and then 123 Main Street, Lake Ozark, Missouri, 65049, something like that.
And the county.
Oh, and the county.
Yep, the county in there.
Was that Camden County? Probably.
Yeah.
Do you want county in there as well?
Nope, just Camden.
Okay. And why do you guys prefer the full address, Susan? Like, how does that helpful for you guys?
Well, when we are reviewing the documents, we are cross-referencing more than one place. So I will look up there and look at that address. And I'm also going to look at the MLS listing as well as the listing contract to make sure they match.
Mm-hmm. So it's just kind of something that we do on an audit standpoint, make sure everything matches across the board. Then you're going to come down to MLS and enter that number, whatever that number might be. And then you're going to select the status of the transaction. So whether that be a buyer's agency only, a listing side, a contingent property, or a pending property. And those are really the main focus of these. These agent files and office use and referrals are kind of what we use for our team. Same with the closed, leased, or deal fell through, expired withdrawal. Yeah, because yes, we do all of those processes. So you guys are really just going to pick listing, contingent, or pending, maybe buyer's agency if that is what your transaction is all about. So for this example, we're going to go listing. And then we're going to enter the listing date. So we'll pretend that that's today. Just click this little calendar button, click the date that you have on the listing agreement. You're going to put in the expiration date as well, which is also found on the listing agreement. It's usually like 6 months out or so, somewhere in there.
Yes.
Acceptance date, you don't really have to worry about that one. And then the close date, obviously, if you have a pending or contingent, a sales contract of any kind, you'll find that closing date on that form. So you can input that when it's ready to go into the pending or contingent status.
Let me say something about listing date. Okay, so I've seen this two ways. This can be the date that the listing contract was signed, but there are some teams and admins who actually use the date it was went live in the MLS.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to ask your team leader how they want that done, what date they want in there.
That's a good point. I really like the use of the listing date for when it's entered into Matrix because, when you get a listing contract, you have 24 hours to get that live. So it kind of makes sense to have it be the listing date, the official date. Anyway, moving on. The more info and admin info boxes we don't really use unless you absolutely have a note of some kind that you want on that transaction. And then down here is where we continue with the seller's name. So it could be, John and Jane Smith. Buyer's name, if again, it's a pending or contingent file. List price. So whatever, that price might be.
Let me say something about the seller name. I really recommend that what you put into pipeline specifically is exactly how you want the name, or you're going to put the name on the listing contract. So, because I'm looking at that too, and it's really helpful if you're very detailed and have the exact spellings and how you want that name, how you are going to put that name on the listing contract. The list price, just so you know, once you enter the price, if you enter an amendment, a listing amendment, or you change the price, I will change that for you. I don't think that you have the clearance to change that.
Correct. Yep. Another thing, a great example of the seller name, like Susan was saying, is we see a lot of transactions that have, XYZ LLC or XYZ Trust. If that's the case, then, put that in the seller's name instead of, who might be over that trust or that business. It needs to be the LLC name.
Yes.
Sale price, again, if it's a contingent or pending property, that would go here. We never fill out any commission information, so leave these two spots blank. And then finally, at the end, you're going to assign either yourself, the agent, or your whole team. If you're an admin, assign your whole team, whatever your team requirements are in pipeline. So check with your team leader on that. So a good example would be, let's see, I'm going to use Fran Campbell team as the example. So I would come in and add Tammy, as the listing, and then I come in and add everybody else to it. And she might be under marketing. Yeah. Fran Campbell, Virginia. Did I spell her name right? Oh. And then Amber. So as you can see, as I'm typing, these names are just kind of popping up, and I'm clicking which side. I'm clicking which side of the transaction they're representing. It should match the side that you listed as the status of the transaction. And the sides are important because, for example, you're only going to see documents that are listed underneath your side, unless it's just a completely open-ended transaction where the team and then each side allows each side to see those documents. But sometimes that's not the case. So that's why putting yourself on the right side will give you more visibility to the documents and the messaging and everything else that goes along within this transaction. So once you get everybody added, you can also do this box. This transaction has an outside or co-op agent. So if it's an agent that's outside our brokerage, you can add their name and info, their email address. They will also get notified via email if there's something wrong with the document or if changes need to be made. They can be a part of that transaction as well. And so anyway, once you're done with everything, you got everything listed, you're going to hit add transaction. It will process, and then it will throw you into that transaction. And I'm going to go into a transaction to kind of show you what that looks like. Any questions on, before I leave this page, any questions on uploading? Okay. Cancel this, and I'm going to go into a listing transaction and show you guys what that looks like.
Did you have one chosen?
I did, yeah. Okay, so once you hit add transaction, it's going to throw you into your transaction that's going to look very similar to this. So as you can see, you have the name, the address that we just, created, status MLS number, listing expiring dates, seller information, price information, who all is a part of that transaction, and then all of your documents again down below if you keep scrolling. Over on the side as well, you have a lot of different functionality features here. We can upload documents here. There's also an upload document button over here. You can edit the transaction if you accidentally, added somebody or need to change something. So there's just a lot of things right here. Also, we have checklists. And for anybody who doesn't know this, these checklists are designed for our team. This is what Susan and Christina and Linda and I use to audit your documents. So you don't have to worry about the checklist on the side unless they are your checklists that you have created that you use for your team. If you're a primary agent or an admin on a team that maybe doesn't have a checklist, or maybe you're just somebody who wants to update their checklist and make it better, you can contact Susan, Linda, or Christina, and they can help make that change. The only thing that they suggest is if you want to create or mend a checklist, do it in a Word document to show, exactly how you want that labeled. If what the heading needs to be, what the document or action needs to be for you, and then they go through and just copy and paste it in. It makes it really, really easy.
So, but you can use the checklist to make sure you have uploaded all of the documents that we are going to be looking for. Certainly do that, but don't check them off.
Yeah.
Don't check off my checklist.
So there's also a percentage calculator here too that is reflected or used to be reflected up here in the corner. This is just, a little guideline as well to show kind of a percentage of how far you are from, this thing just sitting here waiting for the next contract to be written or waiting for it to be closed. So you don't really have to worry too much about that. Some other things within a transaction, you can make a note or send an email. You can pick specifically who you want that to go to. You can also include us in those emails. You can also do now an audio message, which is pretty cool. That's a new feature that Pipeline has added. And then you can keep going down and just, make a private note or, kind of all kinds of things. Send docs as a zip file link, just anything that you might need.
No.
Okay. So, any questions about emailing or anything, adding a note? Okay. Another thing that you can do is you can merge documents or you can split documents apart. So if we have teams that do it differently, we have teams that upload all of their documents in one file. We have teams that separate it out similar to this, where each document is its own. There's no real right or wrong here, but I will say that if you take all of your paperwork, scan it all together in one large chunk, you can come in and then you can break that apart pretty easily as well. And all you got to do is once you get it uploaded, you can come in to break apart. And then you can go page number to page number and then rename it as you go, set the permission category, which we'll cover more a little bit in a second, and then just hit break apart and it'll break all those documents apart for you. So that's a pretty cool feature not a lot of people know about. You can also merge them back together if you need to by just selecting page numbers and getting it in the right format. Additionally, when you upload documents, they're going to appear down here. Again, these checkboxes over here for reviewed are for our team. We check here and then we come up and check this off as we're auditing things, making sure you're not missing anything. So you don't have to worry about checking that box either. If for some reason you check a box or we check a box and then something's wrong with that document, just contact one of us and we can go in, delete that document out for you to then re-upload, or we can help you upload it as well. If for some reason during an audit process, if they do find something that's wrong, they will make a note on it. It's very easy to do so. You can just click this button and then make whatever note that you want to say. You'll see a lot of something like this, line 2, please add a name. You might see line 175 needs checkbox. And we try to keep these notes pretty short and simple just because of text limitations for amount of characters that you can have. So again, we always like to say from our team to our company and our agents, like, don't take these messages personally. They may be short and sweet, but we've had some agents in the past that are like, oh, well, it seems kind of rude. It's not rude. It's just a limitation on characters. So we try to keep it short and sweet. And, you can reply back to these as well, or we'll delete the comments out once you've corrected whatever needs to be corrected. You can also see notes and emails sent. It'll keep a running log of any comments that's made, any emails that are sent, any kind of communication that's happening on this transaction. It'll provide a running log of what's going on as well, so you can come in and see things. Does anybody have any questions on what a transaction is, being inside a transaction, checklists, anything? Okay.
I wanted to make one comment about your MLS listing. It's really great if you could download that listing and upload it into the pipeline listing file. Not only do I use it, but Christina does as well to cross-reference. Sometimes I will find that your MLS listing price is different than what's on your listing contract. And then I'll reach out to you and find out why. So there are a lot of great reasons to upload that listing so we can see that to cross-reference.
One thing that you just made me think about, Susan, I think this question comes up a lot, and I think it's a really good training opportunity. And that is when an agent gets their listing or the sales side of documents, when you guys are making all of your paperwork and going through that process, and you have all of your documentation ready to upload, go ahead and set up your own transaction. Go ahead and upload those documents yourself. If it's a listing side, you're going to have your showing instruction sheet that will tell us what showing instructions we need to put in place for that property. When Susan gets that showing instruction sheet, that notifies her that your transaction is ready to be audited, pretty much. Same on the sales side. Once you upload all of your documents and you have your closing cover sheet ready to go, when you email that closing cover sheet to Christina, that tells Christina that that transaction is ready to be audited. We cannot go in and audit anything if you don't have documentation in there, if it's not ready to go. So we're kind of in the same waiting game as you are, just waiting for all of the things to be uploaded. Doesn't mean that we won't help you get things uploaded if you're struggling, but try to go in, set up the transaction, get those sheets to either Christina or Susan, and then we'll begin that audit process. And that's typically how that works.
Right. So a lot of questions that I receive are in regards to withdrawals. Okay, so if you decide to withdraw a property, or your client does, you fill out your withdrawal form. It should have Jeff Krantz's signature at the bottom, not just yours. Let me see if I have one here. That withdrawal is uploaded into Pipeline. You should let me know it's there if it's urgent. If it needs to be withdrawn right away, please let me know so I can get that done for you right away. The big part is people forget to have Jeff Krantz's signature at the bottom. So make sure you do that. Upload it into Pipeline. If it's urgent, you need to contact me by email or phone and let me know that you need me to withdraw that listing from the MLS immediately. Fill in every blank on that withdrawal, because I'm going to be cross-referencing that MLS number. I'm going to be looking at the date you want it withdrawn. All of that needs to be filled in and not left blank. So I do it right for you and I get it withdrawn on the right date.
It's a good point.
Any help you need with withdrawals, please let me know. If you're in a hurry and you just want to send me the withdrawal form and you want me to upload it, that's fine too. I just want to make sure it gets done in a timely manner.
Additionally, because you brought up Jeff's signature, for anybody that's new, and I know I have a couple new people, I just want to again revisit that at each office location, we have a stamp for the parts of contracts that need Jeff's signature. And then if you can't make it to one of our office locations, you can also DocuSign whatever document you have to remaxlotto@gmail.com. And that will send it to DocuSign to where we can DocuSign his stamp as well. So there's a couple different ways that you can get his stamp without having to, contact him or anything like that. So just know that if you don't.
So what I'm seeing a lot these days are agents are withdrawing listings and then they're relisting them immediately as a marketing tool, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you withdraw a listing for your client, but you know you're going to relist it, that's what we call cloning. And so if you're going to do that, please reach out to me and let me know that's what you're going to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Pipeline, and under the MLS number, I am going to add in front of the old MLS your new one. So we can reference all of that information in that same Pipeline file. If when you asked me to withdraw it, I would have changed the status to expired withdrawn also. So when you send me that new MLS number and say you want me to clone that, I'm going to change the status back to listing because it's an active listing again. So I will do those steps for you if you let me know what's going on.
And when you talk about cloning, that means we have to close out the original listing file and then make a number 2 for it to be listed again, correct?
Well, for me, I'm not doing a new transaction. I'm keeping it all on the same page. I'm just adding your MLS number and making it a listing again, active again. And that's in Pipeline.
Perfect. Does anybody have any questions, mainly on listing side, in the transaction, anything like that?
Hey, Kaylin.
Yes.
When you were mentioning uploading a copy of the listing sheet after it's already in MLS, I suppose there's only certain formats that you would like to see on there, whether it's a customer copy or a broker copy.
Yes, correct. I believe that we only use the customer copy within it, the MLS sheet.
Oh, okay. When I do it, I actually do the full.
Honestly, the full would be fine too, because the only people that are going to have access to it is going to be dependent on how, it's labeled. So you could do it as a listing doc, only you can see it. You can do it as a public, then that way everybody has access, but I probably wouldn't recommend that if it's a full copy.
That's what I was concerned about.
Yeah. So it's really up to you and just how you label things as far as who can see it. But yeah, I just stick with a customer copy or a full copy, just making sure how it's labeled.
Okay.
And labeling is what I'm going to talk about right now too. So when you are uploading documents, go ahead and click upload documents. And then I'm going to use an authorization to show as just an example, but you can click from your desktop and just drag over. Which makes it really, really easy. Or you can click on this blue box and do it kind of the old-fashioned way where you find it on your computer. Either way is fine. I recommend I tell agents in training, like, to make it super fast and easy, I would just save it, like when you're saving your documents, I would just save it straight to your desktop so you can click and drag over. But it's really your preference. There's no right or wrong. So when you're uploading, you just click and drag. You can rename it to anything that you need to. We prefer kind of the document name just so we kind of know what we're going into, but it's again your preference. And then this is the permission category that I'm talking about. So you have office, which is visible to office staff. That is our team. You have the listing side. So only the people on the listing side that are labeled listing will be able to see that document. You also have the sales side. So again, the opposite, anybody on the sales side will be able to see that document. You have a buyer document. So it's visible to only buyer's agents on that transaction. That would really be like a buyer's agency transaction that we were talking about earlier. And then you also have public, which means anybody can view it, and then private, only you can view it. So there are a couple different permission categories. If it's just a regular listing document, just hit listing. If it's a sales side, just hit sale.
Both sides see sale.
Oh, Christina said that both sides see the sale side. So, okay, thank you for clarifying that, Christina. I wasn't sure. That makes sense though. So if you're on both sides and you're uploading sales docs, each person on that transaction should be able to see it regardless. So any questions on permission categories? Okay. Once you pick your category, don't hit this reviewed box again. That's for our team. Just leave it blank, and then you can go ahead and hit upload documents. I'm going to do it to this transaction because let's say, I uploaded it wrong or something happened and it was the wrong document for some reason. Once it's uploaded, I can come over here to this gear widget, click on it, and I can also delete it out. I can reassign it or unassign it. I can edit it. I can rotate it. I mean, there's a lot of capabilities here. I can also re-download it in case I deleted it off my computer. I know where it's at. I can re-download it to use it in DocuSign or Transaction Desk, whatever. So for that purpose, I'm just going to delete it out. And that way you guys can see how you can remove stuff. If you have these boxes checked though, you probably won't have the delete option feature. So just let us know and we can come in and delete it. Christina said, once a transaction is contingent, the admin team has to change it. The admin on your team has to change it to contingent. Christina, you mean?
What's a transaction? Has to change.
Changes to the document. Okay.
Or, oh.
Changes to the document. Okay. So you're saying if you upload a contingent document, the admin can change the document, correct, on the team? Sorry, guys. She doesn't have a mic, so she's typing me. Okay. She said you cannot move or change name of document once it's contingent. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for clarifying. Yeah. So yeah, once it's in contingent status, you won't be able to change anything. We will have to change it for you. So it gives us a little bit more, hands-on auditing, like, I don't want to say power because that's not the right word, but for MREC guidelines and an audit scale, we can't give everybody access to delete things, modify things because of an audit standpoint. So that's why it's kind of in place. Avon said, also, if you are in a listing and you add a document to sales, you can't change it unless you delete everything that has to do with the sale. And that's right. So what she's saying is that if, this is a listing transaction, if we're in the listing transaction and you add a document to the sales side for it to appear down here, you can't change it unless you delete everything out of the sales side. Any questions so far? I know I'm hitting you guys with a lot of things, but it's important.
Where, again, Kaylin, is the widget you were talking about?
So on any document, once you're down here and you can look at each one and kind of bring them up by clicking on them, the gear widget is located right over on the side of each single one of them.
Okay, for each form.
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Missed that.
I love questions. It's good class when we get questions. Okay. So I just kind of want to pull up another just sales side transaction so you can kind of see the difference as it builds, going from listing to contingent, all that good stuff, going all the way to the closing table. So again, very similar screen. Your transaction doesn't really change. You still have the checklists over on the side. As you keep going down, you can see everybody on the transaction like we were talking about. And then you can see the sales documents start. Obviously, there's a lot more documentation on the sales side. You can tell by the the checklist that we have for pending and contingent. And then you can see on this particular transaction that the team and the agents also using buyer docs and public docs. Public docs are good examples are like the closing cover sheet. Anybody on that transaction can pull up that closing cover sheet at any time, kind of, closing worksheets, matrix information. I mean, sometimes guys, when you put in, the MLS sheet, even though we like to have it, it's obviously not a required document. So you don't have to keep it, up in all of your sales docs or listing docs. You can label it as public and kind of have it separated and categorized out. Christina said, once you upload a mutual release, I will change it to deal fell through. And if you are on the list side, I create a new listing and transfer your documents to that new one. That's a great example, Christina. So let's just say, for example, this transaction on Osage Hills Road fell apart. What she's going to do is she's going to come up once she gets that mutual release, and she's going to do new offer. When that happens, you can see it keeps everything in that transaction name, but it adds a little number 2 to that. She can keep the status or change it. And then you can copy over all the checklists and tasks, and you can also copy over any notes of that transaction as well. Once that happens, she's just going to hit create offer, and then it's basically going to throw her right back into the transaction, but it's going to be that new one listed as the number 2. That's going to be the new start of the same transaction, but a different buyer.
Yeah. So it hangs on to your listing documents, sets it up in a new file, number 2, just waiting for you to get another offer.
Yep. And that's how that works when you have a property fall through, and how we do it in pipeline. So you're essentially going to get an entire new transaction once the deal falls apart. Any questions on that? Awesome. Okay. So outside of just being in a transaction, as you can see, the notes and emails, like I said, you can get a running list of anything that anybody's done in there. It's a really, really good feature. The last thing I just want to point out in a transaction is every transaction gets its own kind of unique transaction number, email address, if you will. This email address or transaction number will also work with like a scanner, for example. So you could like take this, type all of that longness in if you wanted to, and then scan those documents directly into this transaction versus it hitting your email and then you uploading it, stuff like that. So you can use these, long email addresses for that transaction for kind of just a speedier process, if you will. So it's just another cool feature.
I think if they use that though, and they upload the documents, it sits in it could be sitting in your unassigned.
It sits in unassigned, but you can still go in and assign it, or we can. Yeah. So, all right. That's pretty much transactions. The next thing that I want to cover is just the statistics and the reference tab. And the reason why I want to cover it is because every single quarter, when we do a general business meeting and we make all of the statistic papers for the company, in the 4 years that I've worked here, when we upload them, I still probably get 15 questions when they're fresh about where to find them. So it's really simple to find the stats in pipeline. You just come up here to your search bar and you type in the year that you're looking for. Now, if you're a new agent and a new admin, I add you to the current folder when you join RE/MAX. And I also add you to the year prior. If you're wanting prior years than that, like 17, 18, 19, any year at all, let me know and I'll go in, or they'll go in and pull up that folder and add you to whatever year you're looking for, though. So just fun side note. Anyway, type in the year that you're looking for. And then you're going to find the folder that is the year that you're looking for and also labeled company statistics. Click on it, and then once you're in this folder, you're just going to scroll past all of the names, and then all of your statistics are uploaded in here by quarter, and then you can also find them obviously by name. In some of the recent meetings that we've had with team leaders, primary agents, different things, we've also started to include the latest monthly like showing report that we put together for the company. This is a really good tool if you're looking at average number of showings or how many total showings generated before selling, kind of what that looks like for your clients. Those are pretty strong reports that you can also use now, along with our board report showing us, how we're kind of pacing with the board and different inventory numbers. So we're going to try to keep uploading these monthly after we do our management meeting. But I just wanted to let you know that those are a couple new ones in there that you can also take and use as tools. So any questions on finding statistics, using statistics? By the way, same gear widget thing applies. So let's say I wanted to use this second quarter commercial comparisons. I just come over here to this gear widget and hit download. And then boom, I have it. I can take it and use it however I want to. So you can do that. If you're also just like wanting a number off of it and you might not need the whole thing, you can just click on it and it'll pull it up for a quick preview as well. So any questions on stats? Okay. And then the last thing that I want to cover is our reference tab. And this should be on everybody's pipeline too, just up at the top, hit reference. The reason why I want to cover this is because a lot of people don't know that we have a ton of resources in this resource or reference tab for you to utilize. So for example, let's say that you're an agent, you're out and about, you run into a client or just anybody, and they're interested in kind of getting maybe their organization a part of a charitable foundation, or they're interested in a grant or anything like that. We have all of our charitable foundation information in here, including the grant request or grant application form that you can literally come print out and hand to anybody, and they will submit that to our charitable foundation. They also kind of keep some different meeting minutes and stuff. If you're ever curious at all about the charitable foundation, you can come in here and catch up pretty quickly. We also have 2 contracts and forms menus. The reason why we have 2 is mainly because this agreement to sell personal property and inventory list that just hit probably, well, in March, we wanted them to be kind of easily accessible. So we put them in just a separate menu here. But all of the contracts and forms, you can find. So we have the closing cover sheet. We have the showing instruction form. Those are 2 that when you come through onboarding with me, I make sure you download and save to your desktop, because you're always going to be utilizing those. Like I said, when you're getting a listing, you're going to send that showing instructions form to Susan. That's going to let her know that it's ready. If you're on the sales side, you're going to use this closing cover sheet, send it to Christina. That lets her know it's ready. Those forms you should be utilizing every single day for your transactions. There's some other ones in here as well. If you're looking for maybe our newest disclosure that encompasses everything, the franchise and wire fraud, source of measurement, all of that is all on that form.
Lead-based paint's on there now.
Yeah, lead-based paint is on here as well. If you're looking for that, I think we even put that brochure in. Yeah, the pamphlet. But this was something that came up a couple weeks ago. We were going through different listing and selling folder examples, which I'm going to walk you through here in just a minute. But when we were going through different examples of kind of what teams had in their packets or primary agents, somebody had brought up, that we had been using the lead-based paint pamphlet, but we haven't been including it for a long time in the folder. So just another resource that you can include. There's thousands of forms and contracts in here. Really good examples as well for referral agreements. If you have an outside agent referral agreement, that form's in there. The W-9's in there. Just lots of different stuff. So any questions on contracts and forms? We even have examples of dual agencies. I mean, this throws a lot of people. I know we're going to do a class coming up kind of more encompassed on forms, covering things like dual agency, getting really specific with those. So that's coming. But if you ever need examples of that, they're all in here. So, yeah. I also show these to new agents, just another fine thing. If you're a new agent and you're getting really used to or practicing kind of the information that's going to be required when you make your property live in Matrix, these input forms are pretty much essentially all the questions that Matrix asks you when you're inputting a new listing. So these are really handy to maybe keep on you and practice with if you're a new agent, just because you're going to use these as you're talking to your client to list their property, make sure you're not missing anything. So when you go to make it live in Matrix, you're kind of checking all your boxes. And they have residential, commercial, farm, lot and land input sheets right there for you as well. So they're just good handy tools. Next we have just all the momentum books. So if you are an agent that's kind of looking for a momentum refresher, or you're a new agent that doesn't know what momentum is, it's a full agent development program. And all of these books are just filled with what an agent does, day to day or in their business. If you need help with like listing conversion, buyers conversion, you want open house processes and ideas, negotiations. I mean, all of these books are just jam-packed with lots of really good information on just how to be an agent, how to do a process, how to walk buyers through, how to walk sellers through, just really good info. We also have office policies and procedures. So we have our agent manual in here, our commission agreement, the main office Wi-Fi information, which is when you open it, it's a QR code that can get you on that Wi-Fi pretty quickly, and how we do our referral process. And while we're on it, I just want to cover this commission agreement as well. I cover it in onboarding. But when you are closing your transaction and you are waiting for your commission check, our brokerage policy is we have 72 hours or 48 hours, 48 hours to close your transaction and cut you a check. So just keep that in mind. Again, Christina does such an amazing job. She, as long as you're not missing anything in your file, she has both sides, different things. She'll try to get that check as soon as she can, but we do have that commission agreement in place in case we're waiting on the other side from a team or, another agent or an outside agent. It gives a little bit of wiggle room. So that's why that's in place.
If you have a closing coming up, and best practice would be to go into Pipeline, look at your checklist, find out if you have anything missing. If you're still not sure, contact Christina and just go over it with her one time and make sure that you're good to go, so that when you do close and you turn in those closing docs, that she can process your check in a timely manner. And there aren't any documents not filled out or not completed, because it'd be better to know before you go to the closing than it would be once you're closed and done if you have forgotten something.
I'd also encourage any agent to adopt that policy with any other agents that they're working on the transaction. If you're at the closing or even after the closing, maybe offering to help take that stuff to Christina, taking both sides of it to Christina, anything like that, because that just kind of helps strengthen the agent-to-agent relationship too. So it's never a bad idea to ask, especially if it's a double ender in company. You can definitely help out by getting everything to her for everybody faster. So, phone lists and calendars. So this is a really important one that I want everybody to just revisit. These are complete links for you to click on and then completely save or bookmark on your web browser. Hopefully you all are using Google Chrome. It works the best with the platforms. So for example, if I wanted the company calendar, so the reason why we have a company calendar, it lists upcoming training, upcoming events. We design this calendar at the beginning of every year, and we try to place everything on it at the beginning of the year for the full year. So if you're ever wondering what events are coming up, meetings, anything like that, it's all in this calendar. So when you click on it, it's just going to open right up for you. And what you can do is you can come up here and bookmark it. So that way you have easy access on your bookmark bar for the company calendar. And like I said, it goes for the full year. You can see what's going on. It's really interactive. You can click on it. You can see, you know, times, locations, information, all that good stuff. The next thing is our company phone list. This is internal use only, so please do not share it, but it is a really, really great phone list. It gives everybody's extension, mobile information, where they are, where they're located, email address. If you continue scrolling to the bottom, you can get agent counts and also team phone numbers. So, you know, if you're ever needing phone numbers or to get a hold of anybody, really good place to bookmark as well. Resource site I'm going to come back to. Photo archive is also on the resource site, but this is something new that we rolled out last month. We created a photo archive of different condominium complexes or maybe subdivisions, anything like that. And so we've created folders in here for each one. You can come in and maybe find different photos that you can take and use for your listings or for marketing. Anything that you might need could be in this photo archive for a particular subdivision or complex. Also, guys, we're still, you know, really trying to work together on building this. So maybe you're an agent or a team that might have additional photos to go into this archive. We will gladly take them. So if you ever want to share anything or update any of these, please let us know, because that would be awesome. To continue, got another phone list. I think it's the same one. And then support contacts. This is important because if anybody has any problems with Lead Street, Remax.net in general, this is where you're going to come and contact support for that. They're really, really good online. So you can email them. They usually get back in less than an hour, maybe two. They're really good. So that's just their support information. And then finally, the team and primary list. So this is a really good list. If you're ever just like, okay, you know, I'm a new agent, who's on what team and where does everybody belong to? And, you know, what office are they a part of? This is just a running list that we update as people come in or people leave to kind of show people, you know, where they are, who their admin is, maybe their phone number, you know, anything like that. So any questions on any of the links?
Do you want me to stay? Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Do you want me to leave these? Okay.
Just,
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, Susan. Just a couple more things. If you're looking for tools, handouts, miscellaneous information, there's lots of really good information in here. A couple popular ones would be like why the 7 versus 6 sheet. This gives really good statistics to defend your commission income that you can take and give to clients. Same with the wintertime miss sheet. This again gives really good statistics for clients for when they're, you know, kind of on the fence. Should I sell in spring? Should I sell in winter? You know, different stuff. And just, you know, logos, stuff that we've gotten from coaches. I mean, just lots of really good stuff in here. So just know that that exists for you guys as well. Any question on the reference tab? And then I only have one other thing to show you guys. Okay, awesome. So the last thing that I want to show you is just another resource of where to find things if you're struggling. Maybe you're an agent that can't get into Forms R Us that particular day, or you're looking for a particular example of a form. Maybe you're an admin that's new and you're still practicing and unsure of forms. On our resource site, this is a website that we built for just internal use for our company. It's basically a one-stop shop that houses a ton of, you know, resources, things that you might need, training stuff, whatever. On the resource site, there is a tab for forms. So when you come into forms, we have each kind of categorized where, like if I want listing forms, I can come in and I can find forms that I might need that I need to print out, or examples. So if you're an admin or an agent who's still kind of practicing and you want to know, you know, kind of what's required, what we look at on an audit standpoint for a seller's disclosure, we have highlighted examples here. We also have blank examples. If you're looking for like a residential contract example, these are all in here for you to utilize to practice. Additionally, in the forms, we have miscellaneous forms, sales and pendings forms. They're all the same, but also on the resource site, if you're looking to make maybe a listing packet or a sales side packet that has all of these forms, so when you're going to meet with a client, you're kind of all prepared. If you go into the Kickstart resources and come down here and click on packets, I have so many examples, so many different things that you can find in here. But really the main one that I want to point out is the sales side folder and the listing side folder. When you come in here, again, all the forms that you might need for this transaction that kind of work with the pipeline checklist are all in here for you to come in and utilize as well. We also have lots of different examples. I got even Jeff and Jason's examples in here. So if you're ever looking to kind of, make that better or need to find something, we have those resources just kind of sitting there for easy access for you guys as well. So any questions, pipeline related, resource site related, anything at all?
Thanks, Kaylin.
Awesome. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. And if you need anything, please reach out to us anytime.
Thanks, Kaylin.
Yep. Have a great day.